What is up, guys? Tuesday afternoon. Getting myself live on the gram. So if you're watching the replay, give me a minute here. It's all set up. Oh, I got to close out some of the other tabs that are going to distract me. See. Make sure I'm live on Instagram. Smith Winger, can you hear me okay? Just say yes so I know. I want to make sure I'm actually, you guys are actually hearing me. Sometimes there is a delay. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Rachel, can you hear me okay? Let me see if I can hear myself. Yep. Okay, cool. I can hear myself. All right. Happy Tuesday. I got a good topic for the ladies today. So if you guys are watching this and you're a female and you are struggling with the old luteal phase impacting your ability to lose body fat or knocking you off track, today I'm going to give you guys some tips that I use with my clients to help them get results and also not continue to beat themselves up. I am all about empowering women to be okay with embracing the luteal phase. So if you guys are listening to this and you guys want to obviously ask me any questions that you guys might have about anything, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Be strong, coach. I'm not sure if you're a female or a male. Kind of hard to see. Your photo's so small, but hopefully this will help you if you're a female. All right, we're going to roll right into it. So today's topic is for the ladies, or if you are watching and you're a coach and you are coaching females, the luteal phase can be really, really, really hard to navigate, especially in a fat loss phase. And I'm just going to take a quick sip of my water because full transparency, I just ate and I'm thirsty. All right. Feeling better already. Okay. So you have no idea how many women don't realize how hard they are on themselves in their luteal phase. And while a lot of women do track their cycle, they have a good understanding of where they're at. They have no idea how to understand how it's impacting how they feel. In fact, I'll get check-ins from clients and it's like negative freaking Nancy. It's feel like crap. My workout sucked. Can't lift heavy. I'm hungry. I don't even want to look at my husband. And I'm like, I look at their weight and I'm like, oh, you know, you're either near ovulation or menstruation. I can tell you that right now. And they're like, well, yeah, I just ovulated. I'm like, okay, so you're in that luteal phase. So everybody's going to experience those types of things at different times in their luteal phase. And my goal today is to hopefully give you guys an understanding of what's going on so that you can actually get some progress to happen. Because I think that this is kind of where, in fact, for females, this can be often what makes you feel like you've been starting and stopping a diet for as long as you can remember, because every single month it's the same thing. You're like, all right, I'm ready to start. And then week 2 comes and you're like, all right, it's getting a little bit harder. And then by week 3, you're like, oh man. And then week 4, it's like, so maybe this whole diet cycle you're stuck in has nothing to do with the actual diet and everything to do with how you're approaching it and how it relates to your hormones. And if you're in the late 30s, early 40s, going through perimenopause, it gets even harder because your period is a little bit all over the place and you don't know when to expect it. And it's like the phantom period. Is it going to come? Is it not going to come? And it comes later, it comes early, and it just throws everything off. So today I want to just have a little girl chat with you and hopefully give you some tips to help you guys, because this is the stuff that y'all need to hear about. Most of you guys think you need better macros. You think you need to eat cleaner. You think you need to try XYZ. You think you need to be more disciplined. Honestly, you just need to understand your body. And that's not even just from a hormone perspective with your cycle. That's what we're going to be talking about today, but it's in general. Okay. So let me just pull up my notes. All right. So if I wrote here, if you feel like every single month it's like starting over, that's exactly what this is about. So first things first, I want to kind of just, my cat's coming to say hello, go through essentially what you're experiencing with your luteal phase. It's almost like you have 2 personalities in your month, and really you'll have like that one good week, maybe a second week where you feel okay, and then like the second half of your month you're just kind of like not the same. And maybe you've kind of gotten used to this cycle in that luteal phase. Maybe you feel like it's a little bit harder to trust your body. Like you don't know if you should be working out or you shouldn't be working out. Like food cravings are higher. You don't really know what's right, what's wrong. Maybe you think you're doing something wrong. So I have this, I've had clients come to me and they you know, they're like, in fact, it's almost like confession before the confession. I had a client start with me and she's like, I'm just warning you that when my period hits, I really binge. I have a really hard time and I just binge. And I'm like, okay, this woman likely is binging because she's trying to be so restrictive. And so by simply just increasing her calories, which we're going to talk about, we were able to beat that. And it often can feel like you make progress and then it's just like it all is a wash and you have to start all over again. This usually doesn't have anything to do with your lack of desire to change. It usually has nothing to do with your body not being able to lose weight. It has everything to do with your strategy. So I want to kind of explain to you what's going on, and hopefully get you to understand a little bit. So first and foremost, your hormones are fluctuating. And you know that you're more hormonal, right? You're hormonal. Okay. So primarily progesterone is rising. That actually increases your metabolic rate. And this is also why it's harder to be in a deficit in your luteal phase. Women tend to get a lot more cravings because they're actually hungry. And they think that that's like it's like you judge yourself before the thought of like, maybe I'm just actually needing more food. You're like, no, I just shouldn't be eating anymore. I've already had what I've been supposed to, or I've already had what I'm supposed to have. It also causes water retention. So if you are trying to lose weight and you're doing all of the right things and you step on the scale and it's like, bam, smacks you in the face because now you're up 2 or 3 pounds. I have some clients that their weight fluctuates like 5 or 6 pounds on their period. So the scale might go up. As I already mentioned, your hunger hormones do increase. So you feel hungrier. And also serotonin levels shift. And this could also increase your cravings specifically for carbohydrates. Your body is just asking you for things and you are trying to fight your body. And it's kind of like me telling you, don't look for anything green. Don't look for anything green. And as I'm telling you that, you're probably seeing all of the green things in your house or in your car or wherever you're at right now. So you are always going to focus on what you tell yourself not to focus on. It's just the way the brain works. Okay. So here's where a lot of women tend to go wrong. All right. So they don't know how to read the scale. So the scale is going to fluctuate in your luteal phase. Ovulation, we're going to see a weight spike. It's going to come back down a little bit. Premenstrual hits, it's going to spike again. Typically will rise, get to your highest point around your period. And then as your period trickles off and you go into your next phase, your follicular phase, you will see that the scale goes down. So this is why you have to zoom in and zoom out. You have to know what's going on acutely with the scale, what's causing those fluctuations, but be able to zoom out and look at month to month. Even when we're talking about, it's why, I can't use the first 3 or 4 weeks of a client's journey to tell her whether or not her calories are in a good range or not, because I actually have to see what her body does for a whole cycle and compare cycle to cycle. Like it takes me a little bit longer to figure that out. So, but a lot of you guys tend to panic and you tend to either overcorrect. So maybe you had a night where you did overeat and then it's like, oh, I got to pull back. I have to try and make up for that. And you get stuck in this cycle. You try fighting your cravings, whereas I want to encourage you to actually plan for them. So I think that rather than just telling yourself, all right, I'm going to be good this time, it's no, I know this tends to get overpowering. So I'm going to allow myself. And the other thing is that you don't really know how to adjust your training. And you don't need, I'm going to start this. You don't need any kind of special training program. You don't need to stop doing CrossFit. What you truly need to understand is how to take back the expectations on yourself a little bit and allow yourself to still work out and do what you know you need to do for yourself, but just lower the intensity a little bit. Maybe not trying to push, things that are super taxing on your central nervous system, things that are like, it's like, don't lift heavy. Like if your back is sore and this is sore, you shouldn't be going in there trying to PR your deadlift, so that's the main thing. So main thing is you are going to have to get to a place where, I saw somebody post something like, some guy was like, you would think after like 40 years, women would be like used to their period. Like you would just be able to accept this is life, but we're still figuring it out. It doesn't make it any easier. It's just, you learn how to navigate it. So right now it's really important for you to think about this whole cycle and learning how to zoom out, measuring progress over the course of the month and comparing month to month, not looking at what's happening acutely within these couple of weeks. So now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what I do with my clients and hopefully give you guys some tips here. First and foremost, sorry, I am very thirsty right now. First and foremost, if you are trying to lose body fat and you actually want to feel good and you want to be able to have flexibility and you're tired of guessing, you should be tracking your food. Like that's just a non-negotiable. But with that, tracking your food isn't always about dropping calories super aggressively or always tracking your food to be in a deficit. Sometimes it's making strategic changes in the plan to make sure that you can be in a deficit long enough to get to your goals. And for a lot of my clients, I might either increase calories or redistribute them. So I might even actually lower protein a little bit to allow for a little more calories from carbs or fats, because sometimes in your luteal phase, chicken, beef, fish doesn't really sound very appetizing, and you'd rather just have some cereal. You'd rather have a bowl of cereal and some freaking Fairlife fat-free milk with a little bit of protein powder mixed in. Like, that's okay. So we're going to come up with a different strategy. So for you, that might look like knowing, okay, here's my maintenance calories. This works really well. It might not be increasing your calories to a specific number, but being like, it's okay to go a little bit over and I'm not going to freak out about it. Giving yourself like a 300 to 400 calorie grace period for a couple of days and not stressing about it. Like, you're not going to undo your progress, nor are you going to stall your progress if you learn how to do that. Okay. Sometimes like I mentioned, redistribution is I will often give a little bit more carbs. This usually does help with cravings. It's also a good source of fiber if you're getting a lot of whole grains, that kind of stuff. It helps with volume. So sometimes you'll feel a little bit fuller. Now, on the flip side of things, usually during your luteal phase, it's funny. I've had clients who thought that they had food sensitivities, and come to find out, it's just like they're not working with their cycle. They're not understanding how their bodies or their gut motility slows down in their luteal phase, and trying to eat super healthy is literally making them feel worse because their body can't break down a lot of vegetables. And so it's learning how to manipulate those types of things in your luteal phase to make sure it's a little bit more comfortable. When we talk about training, I really don't, I mean, I'll be honest, like, hopefully you're mature enough to be like, okay, today's not the day to redline, but it's hard when you're in a class setting and, XYZ is, pushing really hard. You're used to beating that person and you want to beat that person. But sometimes, like, you might want to pull back a little bit. Maybe you're doing a little bit of your own thing, doing a little bit more zone 2 cardio, more steps and movement. Maybe you are not maxing out. Maybe you're not doing so much central nervous system heavy work. Some people feel great and they can keep pushing through. Others need to just figure out how to calibrate off of how their body is feeling. Okay. So it's really understanding. And so if you're not hitting PRs, it's not, I always, and this is something that I use in all areas, not just during my luteal phase, is whenever I'm approaching training, this is my best today. Because if I'm constantly measuring off of previous times, like, don't get me wrong, I love hitting PRs. I love making progress, but not every day is going to feel great. And so I have to remind myself of that. As I already mentioned, when I talk about adjustments around digestion and bloating, I do often lower like higher volume foods if it's really causing an impact on a person's gut motility. Sometimes I might recommend some digestive enzymes to help if a person's really struggling. But it's important for you to kind of you have to experiment with your body. Everybody's body works very, very differently. You have to experiment to find out what works best for your body. As I kind of already mentioned, I'm going to kind of go into this a little bit more. I will often put in strategic higher calorie days. So I can think right now of a client of mine who back last summer, she was really struggling, where she would just go through phases where she's like, you know what? I'm like, I don't know why. I'm just like not tracking and I'm like eating whatever. And I don't know why. And I was like, is this like she felt like maybe restrictive. So we kind of started diving into some things. And as I started tracking, like when this was showing up for her, it was in her luteal phase. So all I did was 1 month, I'm like, hey, we're just going to like increase calories this week. Let's see if anything different happens. Let's give you permission. And boom, what do you know? That was exactly what we did. And that strategy has worked with us to where now she's down another 20 pounds. So it's important for you to realize that sometimes strategic high calorie days or maintenance days can help you stay in a deficit longer. It also removes the guilt, because it's not like, oh, I shouldn't be having this. You're like, oh, I can fit this in. And I think that this is also where it's so important to realize that feelings are not facts and we have to really have data. I know that I already mentioned tracking your food, but we need to be looking at monthly trends, looking at cycle patterns, looking at calories and macros, looking at, how your body is responding when you get cravings. Like, it's so important for you to be really in tune with your body. I am somebody who is very in tune with my body to the point where, like, I know when things are not right and I know when there's something off, and I can tell, like, I catch that shit like that. So, and it's taken me a long time to get there. And there's times where, like, I know I've ignored it and I'm like, man, I know my body was telling me something, and now I've learned how to listen a little bit more. Okay. So here's where I want you to really understand the transformation journey that you're on. I know you have goals of losing body fat, getting leaner, all this stuff. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, yes, this is me. I'm stuck. This is a cycle that you are going to have to live with. So it's really important for you to learn how to navigate it in a fat loss phase and also in a maintenance phase. In a fat loss phase, obviously a little bit trickier, but not impossible. And not every woman experiences her luteal phase the same. Some women don't get a lot of cravings, don't get a lot of mood swings, don't get a lot of that stuff. In fact, I will say this: leaner women, women that do have a better quality diet, that are eating enough fiber, these are all things that do improve your menstrual cycle symptoms. I know that. I've experienced changes myself. I know, and I know this from, it seems like forever ago. When I was a teenager, I freaking hated getting my period. I freaking hated it. It was unpredictable. I felt like I could not walk for 3 days. I never wanted to go to school. I was miserable. And I know that the second I started cleaning up my diet, that was when things changed. And a lot of women don't realize how, and I say cleaning up my diet, it's not about the removal, it's the addition of. There's a lot of foods that women don't realize that do help with balancing hormones, do help with symptoms. And I do try and look at food from not just a macro perspective, but from that perspective as well. And that's what I really encourage you to do. So the main thing today is getting you to understand that your luteal phase is a part of the plan and you have to learn how to navigate it. So that's really all I got today, but I'm going to pop up here to see if anybody has any questions about this, or does anybody struggle with this? Does anybody struggle with period problems? I call it puffy period puff. That's the other thing. Don't ever take photos. Don't ever take your like progress photos in your luteal phase. Like, take them the week after, because that's when you feel your worst. Nobody wants to take photos when they're bloated. What questions do you guys have while I'm on here? Does anybody have any questions? Nutrition, training, life? I know this is kind of a weird time of day for me to be on. I had a little bit of a crazy week. I say crazy week, it's only Tuesday. That's how crazy my week has been. I think I may have given myself a mild case of rhabdo that got misdiagnosed as I've been reflecting on my last couple of days. But I'm okay. I am okay. That's probably why I'm so thirsty. All right. Well, any other questions, please feel free to send them my way. I will make one final plug. I put this in the show notes, or if you're watching still live, I created a course. So if you are somebody that is looking to drop 10 to 15 pounds, or maybe you just don't know how much you should be eating and you're in a phase in your life where you want to prioritize getting a handle on things, maybe you are ready to start tracking your food, you want to plan, you want to build it out and map it out the right way, I have built out a course that helps you do that without using an online calculator. If you want access to the course, you can either comment here course so I know while I'm still on here, or in the show notes, I did create a really quick Google form. You could just click that and it will take you to a link to get the course. And it's 4 modules, so it's not a really long course. I am offering it for free right now. So any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to hop off. I will see you all next week.